On October 16, 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis was from 1961 to 1968. John F. Kennedy and his advisors learned that the Soviet Union was installing nuclear-armed medium and intermediate-range missiles in Cuba. A new threat to America, Moscow raised the ante in the nuclear rivalry between the superior powers. The U.S. was taking a risk of making the war worse on October 25th to the 26th. The Soviets tanked and told to cooperate, but the Navy restrained itself from forcibly seizing the ship, and Kennedy learned that the work on the missile bases was still proceeding without interruption, and the Soviets proposed that they would take down the missile bases if the U.S. pledged that they wouldn't invade Cuba. When Kennedy and his crisis advisors were debating the dangerous negotiation between the Soviets, a U-2 spy plane was shot down in Cuba.
October 22nd, Kennedy makes his decision on national television. ExComm decided to have the bases dismantled and missiles removed. October 23rd to the 24th, quarantine of Cuba began. Kennedy gave the Soviet leader more time to consider the U.S. action of pulling the quarantine line back 500 miles. Intercontinental ballistic missile. Powered early in its flight, but then it follows a non-powered trajectory to its target. Both the United States and the Soviet Union developed ballistic missiles that could reach anywhere in each other's territories. It could deliver nuclear weapons. Military interest in the missiles were aroused by the success of German scientists during World War II. The V-2 showed that it could reach its target without interference by defenses.
A series of space flights took off. The Nazi designed a V-2 rocket on February 20, 1947, and a pair of fruit flies was on board. The first vertebrates in space was a series of ill-fated monkeys and mice, launched between 1948 and 1951. On June 14, 1949, however, a rhesus monkey named Albert II was the first monkey to be launched in space. On June 22, 1951, the Soviets launched a pair of dogs to Siegen in district, and Latvia on November 3, 1957, the Soviet launched a dog. But between 1948 and 1951, there were other mouses, monkeys, dogs, and cats and turtles, and even a spider. First man on space on April 12, 1961 was a Russian cosmonaut called Yuri Gagarin. On Mercury 3, the first American in space was Alan Shepard. However, there was a long list in between the space race of people that went into space. Grimson, Titov, Glenn, Carpenter, Nikolajin, Poplovich, Sira, Cooper, Vygotsky, Tereskova, Kamarov, Vikostov, Yegorov, Belgaravi, Leonov, Grimson, Young, McDivitt, White, Cooper, Conrad, Borman, Laura, Sirov, and the list goes on until the end of the space race till 1957. On October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union successfully launched Sputnik 1, the world's first artificial satellite. The size was of a beach ball, 58 centimeters in diameter, and took about 98 minutes to orbit the Earth on its elliptical path. The U.S. then drew plans to choose a representative for them, a project called Vanguard, on July 1955 during IGY. Sputnik caught the world's attention and the American public off guard.